Yeah, so I had a cold. I lost my voice entirely for 3 days. Uh, Actually, I didn't mind that much, but frustrating for me. Everybody else is super happy. Um, it had 60,000 videos, rant videos I wanted to do. Um, as is the way, right? You can't do anything. You're sick, so you think of things, and then you're too sick to get them out or write them down. Or, but the thing that sort of came up and came back was this splitting of attention. And splitting is a big theme right now that maybe people haven't noticed. And so in the computer industry, there's been a trend for the past like 15 years, which actually something that when I was much younger, I wanted to do, which is have 2 or 3 jobs at once, right? Because a lot of jobs are downtime, 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 and then something happens and you need to attend to it, right? And so in the early days in IT, right, which was actually a pretty good setup. We should go back to that model. Um, what would happen was maybe you were working on 1 or 2 sort of long-term projects, waiting for equipment, waiting for software licenses, waiting for uh, media, right, or waiting for somebody else to do their work. Um, and that was very common. So those progressed very slowly over time. It wasn't a big deal. That's good, right? Different things at different time scales. It gives you a way to manage your time. Uh, But because I'm very quick, I'm very good at troubleshooting. I can do it very quickly, and I'm very good at I used to type at about 160 words a minute. I can't do that anymore. I don't type anywhere near enough to get back to that speed, and I'm glad of it. I don't want to type that fast. Um, but because I knew what I was doing, I was very good, and in the beginning, obviously not, right, but over time, um, I always had a lot of downtime. And I was like, man, if I were working on other projects, at the same time and getting paid, I'd be paid 3 times as much, at least in theory. And it works really well for jobs like that. It works really well when you have an interruptive task that can be done in between of other interruptive tasks. The problem with this, and the world is moving this way, right? So, yeah, this applies to the computer industry, sure, Mark, whatever. The computer industry is, because its technology is levered, it's further ahead, right? That's the way to think about it. It's at the forefront of what's going to happen next everywhere else. Okay, it's not the only thing. It might not be the thing at the front, although I think it is in this case. This splitting is very common. But in the splitting, you're losing something. You always lose something when you split. You have to, right? That's actually the way they create energy, like electricity for real, right? You split the atom, uh, effectively, right? And then that lets off heat. The heat is the remainder from the splitting action. That's how nuclear weapons work and nuclear power plants. Um, that there's always this remainder, right? But you're getting rid of the remainder instead of integrating or incorporating the remainder, right? And so if you want to be an expert at something, you need to do that with a high level of attentional awareness. So that's attention plus awareness and focus, right? Now, Pomodoro technique. Oh, his numbers are wrong. Like, they never worked for me. Much longer, 20 minutes. Getting done in 20 minutes. Much longer time frames. But actually, it's not true. I need to get at least 5 things done at the same time for reasons of how I hold things together. 20 minutes is never sufficient. 40 and an hour 10, then a break, right? 10-minute break, 5-minute break usually for me. When you split everything apart and try to get more stuff done, it's a very materialistic way of thinking, what happens is you are never an expert at what you're doing. So if you're programming that way, you're never going to be good at programming ever. Sorry. Now, if you're already good at programming, order matters. Sequence is super important. We've lost sequence in the world, by the way. And that's a lot of our problems is people aren't paying attention to sequence. And so they believe weird things because some things should come before others, and when they don't, the world, it doesn't work anymore, right? The rules don't apply. Um, when you know it and then you split, it's less of a problem. But there's a larger issue. And the issue is exactly what I began with. I was sick. I couldn't really do a lot. Couldn't go outside with the chainsaw and cut down the 6 billion tiny trees I need to cut down. Mainly because I have to fix the damn chainsaws first, because 2 of them are broken. Right? I couldn't go out in the yard and like remove the yucca plants that have tried to take over my house. Right? I have all this stuff I need to do. I can't do it. I'm out of breath. I get this stupid sore throat. It's great work for not being able to talk if you have the energy to do it, which I did not. I tried a couple times and wiped myself out, but which is not good for fighting your cold. When you're in that state, though, you're integrating. You're coming up with ideas, right? You're taking the information that you already have, not the knowledge. That's a trap. See, navigating patterns for more on that. I'm not going to go over that here. You're taking the information and integrating. So that downtime that you normally have, where you're not working 2 jobs at once, is actually really helpful in the learning phase. You're not always in the learning phase. I get that. But maybe you should be in the learning phase a lot more than you are, right? And maybe you should manage how much run with no integration, no break, split you do versus how much integration you have. When you don't do that, that's called burnout. Right? When people say burnout, what they mean is you're not balancing your integration phase with your run phase. That's basically what it means. And of course, there's a side effect to this, which, maybe I'll talk about this. I keep meaning to like sit down and do a course on this, which I may eventually do, but I'm just absolutely swamped with too many things that are never working because nothing ever works anymore. Causes anxiety, right? When you tune yourself or expose yourself, which is one way you tune yourself, it's not the only way, but it's the biggest way, right? When you expose yourself to constant run, constant keep busy, keep doing things, when that's not there, you're anxious. And if it's busy, emergency, right? That burns you out quicker. And it actually causes things like adrenal fatigue, which is just horrible. I've had adrenal fatigue. Don't do that. Like, just somebody offers you adrenal fatigue on the street, man, just say no, walk away, say no to drugs, right? Yeah, so don't run yourself silly. So this gets me to the other problem. Not obviously, I'm trying to loop a lot of things in here, right? For your benefit, not for mine. I don't know why people don't see this. Video games is run. And video games is, what do I want to call it? High urgency run. That's not good. You do that too much, you will burn yourself out. And when you're younger, it's really not a big deal. But as you get older, or if you get an illness, and I've got both, unfortunately, it becomes a really big deal, right? And that's why on Navigating Patterns, I talk about time, energy, and attention. Those are the 3 things you need to manage, right? You need to manage those. Whether or not you can manage your focus and your awareness is different, but you need to manage your time, energy, and attention, right? That's vital. Don't burn yourself out. Maybe you can do run, for the most part, for a few years at best. And you better be really careful. I wouldn't recommend it anyway. Who wants to live that way? I'd rather a more balanced time. But hey, also conditions on the ground. You may need to do that. Like there were times when I needed to do that, so I did it. Like, whatever. Now I was aware of what I was doing, and so that's not what hurt me. What hurt me was my illness. That hurt me because I couldn't manage or predict that, right? So all of these things are tied together. This is why part of the reason why video games are bad. And I was thinking in the shower today, like John Vervaeke and others talk about, video games are bad because you can exapt out. No, you can't. That's a lie. There's a tiny number of skills that appear to exapt out, right? But there's no telling if those simple skills would happen without the video game, in which case The video game's a complete waste of time, except for entertainment. Look, entertainment's important. It's part of your downtime. There's a couple different types of entertainment, and maybe I'll go over that someday. But I'm not going to do that here, right? Entertainment where you don't have to think is good for you, right? Because again, it quiets your mind, keeps your anxiety, your baseline anxiety low, right? And it enables you to be better at your craft. Hopefully your craft is being a great software engineer or a great systems engineer, right? That's what this channel's about. If you want to encourage me to do my anxiety stuff, because I do want to do a class on that. I think I can really help people with managing anxiety in general and even recognizing it, because who even has a good definition at this point of anything? Because everything's broken. The language is broken. People are broken when they use the language. Every piece of freaking computer, everything that I have that's been stable for years is now broken. How, I don't know. It's very mysterious, actually. AI breaks the tenets of computers. I might do a video on that. I got to go look up some stuff because I quote, when you read stuff when you're 9, you don't remember it all later, oddly enough. So hopefully this is helpful for you to see something about the world, about the computers in particular, and how it relates to you. You're not disconnected from technology. If you're using technology, obviously you're using technology because video, electricity, internet, the whole 9 yards. And so you need to be aware of how that affects you and what you can do about it, right? And just like keep in mind, you can say, Mark, you're in front of a computer. When I'm looking at you now, I see my garden. It's directly behind the camera. I have to look down to look at a screen, or over here or over there, because I have too many screens, and I regret nothing. But I'm looking at plants and the sky. And I have always worked this way at home. Always. For a reason.